Hello, it's such a pleasure to always have you tuned in to Hope TV, where you look and live, and to always join us on Testify. We appreciate you and we thank God for you. Welcome to another episode of Testify, where our faith in Christ Jesus keeps growing. I am your host, Sharon Aitore Wangenye, and today, my oh my, we're about to hear the story of one Sally Agallo. She has survived cancer 3 times. She has lived with HIV for the past 20 years or so. And I mean, I am in awe of what God can do, really. And at this point, just allow me to welcome her so that we can hear her story. Karibu sana, Sally.
Thanks, Sharon.
Oh my.
I'm so glad that I'm here today. I really longed to speak on Hope FM and to inspire people. So I must say that I'm honored. And thank you so much for having me today.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Most welcome once again.
Yes.
So now I just said a few things about your story, but I don't even think I have an inch of what this story really is. And we're so much eager to hear.
Yeah.
So where did this all start? How was it growing up? Let's just begin there.
So maybe I would say, Sharon, most women don't like talking about their ages or how old they are. But I wish to begin by saying that I'm 50 years old.
Oh, wow.
I know I look 30.
No, you're not. You're not 50.
I am. I celebrated my 50th birthday in October. So actually this year, October,
You're
I'm turning
51.
51. Yes. In October.
No.
I know I look 30 by God's grace.
You do.
Yeah, so I always talk about my age because even as I continue sharing my story, you'll realize why I'm proud to always happy to celebrate a birthday.
Oh, wow.
Because over 20 years ago, I was going to die. Okay, I was born in a family of 10, being a last born. And you know the way last borns are spoiled. So I had the opportunity to go through school and college. And after, I really loved typing, and I can actually type with my eyes closed.
Wow.
And I said, that's what I want to do. You know, when people say, what do you want to do when you grow up? So I was like, I would sit in an office and just type and enjoy the typing. I remember I was punished many times in school because I could sneak and go into the secretary's office and just see. And those days, the typewriter was so...
Yeah, it was...
like juakali, like you press the... But for me, it was nice. I really loved, I had passion for that. And so I took up the course of, I did HR and a full secretarial course. So I wanted to be a HR officer in an office somewhere. And actually worked for some time after college. And so in 1997, I met this guy who told me that I've had enough girlfriends. And what I want now is a wife. And for you, I've seen a wife in you, so I don't want you as a girlfriend, I want you as a wife. And I was like, oh, how can a man just talk to me like this? Okay, he was a family friend because we had been friends with his parents, although the parents had died. But I remember one time when the mother was very sick before she died, she told me, Sally, I think you're the one who will take care of my home. But I didn't understand what she meant. But after she passed on, now the son now started telling me stories that, you remember what mom was telling you, and now this is what I'm telling you, that I want you for a wife. My parents are gone, and now at least you'll help me take care of our home. But I said, but you have an elder brother, why should it be me helping you? So he insisted, you know the way men can persist, and he really, really insisted that it has to be me. So I played games with him. I didn't want to hear what he was saying. And then I was also discouraged that people who knew their family and they're saying it's not a good family, they don't know God, they are drunkards, and that is why even the parents passed on. Like stories, negative things. But you know, once you love someone, you don't hear. Someone tells you something, it goes in through this ear and out from the other. Yeah. So I convinced my parents, my parents had died as well, so I convinced my sister, who I've lived with since I was 8 years, so for me she's like a mother. So I convinced her that this guy is a nice guy. I've been with him for now a whole year and he looks to be serious, like he wants marriage, so maybe I just go for it. So he was living in Mombasa, and of course, so both, like my people his people, we sat, we talked, we agreed. And okay, we didn't have a church wedding, but it was just a traditional one, like families coming together and agreeing, and then dowries paid, like that. So then I'm taken to Mombasa. So 1998.
By this time you were done with college, were you?
Yes, I was. I've told you I'm 50,
Yeah.
so I was done with college. So I was actually working, and now I had to leave my job, and my sister organized for me to get another job in Mombasa. So I'm here, and I get pregnant in 98, and then I get a baby. And as I told you, I'm a last born, so everyone wants to see this baby. The pressure, please bring the baby, we can't all come to Mombasa, please come, bring the baby. So there was too much pressure. So after 2 months I said, okay, let me bring the baby to Nairobi so that you guys can see and stop putting a lot of pressure on me. So then I bring the baby to Nairobi. Unfortunately, after 2 days the baby died.
Oh.
Yes, in his sleep. Like, you know, those days there were no diapers, there were napkins.
Yeah.
So I could wake up in the middle of the night, check the nappy and change it. But this time the baby is not waking up. Like, there was an hour that it was routine. So I would know that maybe at around midnight or 1 a.m. the baby would wake up. But this time around 2 a.m. there's nothing. So I'm like, I just got up and I felt something that was unusual. So I ran with the baby to my sister's room and told her, this baby is like just still, like nothing is happening. And my sister told me, don't shout, don't cry, the baby is dead. And we need help. We can't stay here with the baby, we need help. So because we don't have a car, we have to wake up neighbors. And if you cry, the neighbors will not give us help. And those days there were no mobile phones like you would call an ambulance or do what. There were landlines and there was a lot of complications in technology. So he said, just keep quiet so that we can go and call the neighbors and they can help us. We'll just say the baby's sick because we have to reach the hospital. Maybe he's in a coma, I also don't know. But the way she was talking, it was like she was saying, the baby may be dead. But you know, we are not believing, both of us. But she's like, hey, how come there's no... She had done some nursing, so she tried to open the eyes and there was no reaction. So we wake up one of our neighbors and they agreed to take us to the hospital. So quickly we go to the hospital and I'm now having like labor pains. I was in labor and I don't know how. The pain I was having was labor. As in, if that's when I realized when your baby dies, you just go into labor. That pain you got when you're getting the baby now comes back. I was in labor, my back was paining, I was rolling on the floor. I was doing those things women do when they want to deliver. So we go and the baby is quickly put into a stretcher and wheeled into a room. And then a doctor comes and takes a torch and just puts it directly on the eyes and the baby doesn't blink. I just went down on the floor and I was rolling and I couldn't even cry, like I didn't even know what to do. And he just covered the baby. And I said, that's it. And he asked, and who's this? That's the mother. Can we take her out of here? And I said, you're not taking me out of here. I refused. Why are you covering my baby? How is he gonna breathe? And I was screaming and talking and I didn't want anyone to touch me. I got so hysterical. Then quickly the mortician came. And now he comes with a body bag and puts my baby in it. I just held that guy and told him, please, you can't do this to my baby, you can't. But he had to take the baby away. The baby's taken away. My husband was in Mombasa, so now we had to look for him through the landlines. You know, the ones that you could go, maybe you were not born that time. You go to the booths and queue and wait to make that phone call. And then tell someone to call the person in the other home and like that. But somehow we found him and we told him that this is what has happened. So my issue started that time.
So did they do, what do they call
postmortem?
A postmortem.
We said there was no need. Okay, I thought because of the weather in Mombasa and here, the climate is very different. So I thought, I didn't want to put a lot of things. I just said, let's bury the baby. Maybe with that traveling, a lot of people coming to... I didn't even want to hear any stories. Let's bury and forget about it. And I also had I had abscess in my breast because now with all this confusion, I didn't remember to press the milk, so I had abscess. So had to be rushed urgently to the hospital, and the doctor said this will require surgery.
Oh my.
And they said, no, now you have to bury your baby first, so that because it was now paining, my breast has swollen, the abscess. And so my husband came after 4 days. He was able to be given permission from work, so he came and we buried the baby in Langata. But I was very bitter with God. So when I went back to Mombasa with my husband, there are these people who do witnessing. So they were coming door to door and encouraging people and praying with people. And so I told them what I was going through. And this time my husband had become so hostile. And I was like, is it because of the baby? Maybe he's thinking that I went with the baby to Nairobi to kill the baby with my relatives. But how would I do that? And I'm also, I mean, it's my child as well.
Yeah.
But he just became so hostile, and he wasn't the person who married me. He was so different. So, and I was very bitter with God, and I was telling God honestly, how can you give me such a beautiful child and then you just take them away after exactly 2 months? And fortunately I got pregnant again, and I was happy that, yeah, at least now I can have that joy back again. So as I said, these people came to pray with us, and they said, if you get born again, all these issues will go and you'll be fine. Just receive
really?
Christ. And for me, I'm very against that, because when people are witnessing and you tell people that when you get born again, your problems will go.
Come to an
I think
end?
they become worse, because the devil is not happy that you are gone.
Yeah.
Out of his territory. Now you are not his. So he's not happy. So he comes with a lot of things. But okay, I didn't know. So out of desperation, I said, okay, let's pray the salvation prayer. So we prayed. But I was just doing it because I wanted my problems to go. So it wasn't like serious that I want to receive. I didn't understand what it meant to receive Christ at that moment. For me, it was, I received Christ so that my troubles go.
Can come to an end.
Because that is what I was told.
Yeah.
But now after that prayer is when things got worse. And I was like, why did I even have to receive this Christ? I mean, this is when the problems, now my husband got so hostile. He became a drunkard. He could go out and just...
And he was not drinking before?
No, he wasn't. He was a very nice guy when we were courting, and he wasn't drinking. So suddenly he just became a different person, not the one I knew. And okay, we lived together like that with all these issues. But I was very sick now during this second pregnancy. I was sickling, and because of the stress of the husband also, it worsened it. And you know, I got the baby so fast, because after the first baby died, I went into surgery for the abscess to be taken off. And so I hadn't recovered well by the time I was getting this other pregnancy. So I was sickling. And there's this one time I was getting pneumonia, malaria, on and off. So this time I was admitted. I was very sick, and I was admitted at the Coast General Hospital, and I was 7 months pregnant, and I had pneumonia. So the pneumonia was very heavy, and I was treated for the same, and I think the treatment was very harsh, so it affected the pregnancy, and I got a miscarriage at 7 months. So,
oh wow,
the baby was alive actually, and he was put in an incubator for 2 days, and he died. The doctor assured me at 7 months the baby can survive, so don't worry, we'll take care of it, and he'll be fine. Another boy. My first baby was a boy, the second one was also a boy. But unfortunately the baby died at 7 months, and that is now when I became very sick. So after that, again, we buried this second one. My husband now got worse. Now he was worse. He could come home, change, and leave. Come home, change, and leave. And that time
That's when you needed him most, yeah?
I was sick. You know, like I could not even stretch. If there was a cup on the table, I couldn't even stretch my hand to pick it. And he could go. If it's a Friday, comes on Friday, changes, goes, and comes back on Monday. And it went on like that. And I got into deep depression. So I was very sick once again, and I was admitted in hospital, and a lot of tests were done. So I was told, don't just go home after discharge, come back after 1 week, we'll tell you the results of all these tests that we have done. So I go back after 1 week, and as usual in a government hospital, people queue. So next patient. So I go in and I find someone seated there. I don't know whether it was a doctor or that day was. I've ever felt like the earth opening, and you just go in and it covers you, and people forget about you. So that day, I'll never forget. So this lady asked me, "What's your name?" And I said, "This is my name." And she had some papers, some brown envelopes on her drawer. So she pulled the drawer, checked my name, and said, "Oh, you, we uko na ukimwi."
Ah! Oh my God.
And she handed over a brown envelope to me. And Sharon, in the 90s, ukimwi was like what we are talking about corona now. So I looked at that brown envelope and what I'd heard about AIDS. And I thought, okay, now this person is giving me my burial permit. As in, I'm already dead, so this is a burial permit. All I need to do, get mourners and bury. And that's it.
Why?
So I looked at that and I said, yeah, take and go. There are so many other people waiting. Give me space to see other patients. And I sat there and I started crying. I put my head on the table. Please go. Tafadhali nenda. You know, in Mombasa they speak Swahili. Tafadhali nenda. Just leave, because there's a long queue out there waiting for me. So you can't sit here and start crying. Please take your results and go. So I went home. I remember it was a Friday. And my husband comes and asks me, "So you went for the results?" I said, "Yes." "So how was it?" In the same way it was done to me, I also didn't know what to do. So I just put the brown envelope on the table and said, "Niko na ukimwi." The same way, he just looked at that envelope, and being a Friday as usual, he just went in, took a shower, changed and left.
He didn't say nothing?
I said nothing. So he went, came back on Monday as usual, change, leave, like that. So we went on like that, and I went into deep depression, and I was very sick and I was very weak. And now,
so at this point, what kind of questions are running through your mind?
Nothing apart from death. After all, my kids are gone, my parents are gone. What am I doing on earth? It's high time I follow them. That's all was in my mind. And the fact that these people say that when I do the salvation prayer, my problems will go. Where has AIDS come from?
So you're angry with God?
My kids are gone. I was very angry with God by then. I was very, very angry. And I said, I'll follow these people. I'll follow my kids. And now the only person that I thought would love me on earth is this man who is now even not bothering about me. And one day I asked him, "How come you don't even care and I'm sick? You can't even take me to the hospital?" And said, he looked at me and said, "You have nothing to give me. You have nothing to offer. I'd rather go out there and be with women who can offer me something. What can you offer now?" And now I remember, before I married this guy, these are the things I was being told, that these family people are hostile. Please don't do. But it was too late now. I was already married to this guy.
Just hold it right there. Let's take a very, very quick break, and then we'll be right back. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us at Hope TV, where you look and live. Today with me is Sally. She has an incredible story. I mean, God has really been good to her. And you were just telling us about this point where you've lost your children. You've been told uko na ukimwi with such ugly, attitude and all. Yeah. And then your husband doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
He says you have nothing to offer.
Yeah, and he leaves and goes. And actually he could even give, now that time, now he had a mobile phone because he was working, you know, those big mobile phones.
Yeah.
So these women would actually call me and say, what makes you so special? I mean, I want this man and he's telling me I have to give you a call to let you know that I'm with him. And he did that not once, not twice. So I went into deep depression, and at some point I told him, I'll take away my life, because that's all that is left now. So I just told him, you'll come one day and you won't find me. And he looked at me and said, oh, it's fine, it's okay. So one day when he was leaving to work, I just told him, today is the day. I've had enough. Life has pushed me to the wall.
By this time, you're not even working, are you?
I couldn't go to work because I was very sick. I was very, very sick. Like I had AIDS, you know, if you had seen anyone with AIDS, I had full-blown AIDS. Like my hair had fallen, I had rashes all over, I was coughing, I had all those symptoms of HIV, of AIDS, sorry. You know, there's a difference between HIV and AIDS. Yeah, so I'm here, and when I tell him in the morning when he was leaving that today, you won't find me. And he said, oh, okay, you finally made the decision. When I met you, you are an adult and you had 32 teeth. And anyone in Kenya who is above 18 years can make a decision. So if you've made that decision, it's okay. So for me, I have a burial permit. This is a rubber stamp. Like he's telling me it's okay for you to go and die. So I said, okay, fine. And that time, you know, the devil is live. Like, it's okay, your babies are gone, you are finally going to join them. And now after he left, I don't know where the energy came from. I struggled, you know, as a woman, there's some coins you throw around in the house. So I tried, I got some coins in the house. There was a tin that we could put coins. So I took a piece of paper and a pen. I wrote. And I told my sister, don't look for me, I'm gone, and this is why I'm gone, and all this. So with the money I got in the house, I don't know how, but I got some supernatural strength. I was able to walk. It was like 3 kilometers from where we live to the post office. So I walked to the post office. I only had enough money for the stamp. So after I bought a stamp, I posted the letter, a suicide note, of course. And then I had some coins that I had left, and I didn't want to carry anything. First, I had a meeting with myself, like, which is the best way to die. So I thought, should I buy some poison, some rat poison? And I said, rat poison, I always see people being given eggs or milk, and you vomit out and you're fine. I didn't want that. Should I go to a highway and then I'm hit by a trailer? I said, maybe I'll just break my spine and I'll be in a wheelchair. Another problem again. So Sharon, I have a phobia for heights and water. For me, water is like a glass of water to drink. If it is too much, in a basin to shower. I had a very close friend of mine who could, she even bought for me a swimming costume so that I could go swimming with her. She said, Sally, I'll even pay for an instructor for you. I want you to swim so that I have fun with you when we are together. But I didn't. I said no. She actually bought the swimming. I said no. No. So I said, that is the best thing. And I'm actually in Mombasa. That's the best thing. So I chose the ocean as my burial site. I already have my burial permit, already stamped by my husband. So the mourners will be those people around. Yeah. So I made up my mind. So when I was leaving that house, I knew I was going to die. Because I have phobia for water. I can't stand water. Even just looking at it. So after posting the letter, I had some coins left. And I didn't want to carry any handbag or anything. And Mombasa is hot, so I had just sandals. I just walked, and the coins that I was left with, I threw them in a tin. There was a beggar. You know these people who beg at the entrance of shops. So this one was at the entrance of the post office. So I just threw those coins there, and when someone was telling me, that's the person who prayed for you. So this woman says, Asante, Asante, and I walk away, and I just go, and I walk to the ferry. I don't know where I got the strength. And I was sick, but I didn't care what people were saying about me. I just walked, as weak as I was. I walked, and I reached the Likoni ferry from Mombasa side. So I boarded the ferry and stood at the edge because I had an agenda. So I said two things. Because I fear water, I want to die before I get into that water. Okay. So I stood just at the at the tip, kabisa, like, so I was seeing the propeller.
Yeah.
The one that hits the water and then the ferry is able to move. So I stood there. So I said, this thing will cut me into small pieces before it throws me into the water.
Oh, wow.
So I was so focused that this is what I'm going to do. So I stood there, and you know, the ferry, there are so many people, and people stand. And before that, I had phobia for water that I could not stand where I was standing that time. But this time, it was all blank. Like, I was determined that this is what I want, so that's what I did. So in the middle of the ocean, I dived into the ocean.
You did?
I did. I did.
Wow.
In my stupid mind, I knew that I would die. One, because I fear water. Two, because that thing was going to... I don't know how to swim.
Yeah.
But I'm here, and I'm floating. And I'm like, what happened? And I'm hearing people from the guy, the coxswain, the person who drives the ferry, saw me from up there, and the ferry stopped. And I could see, and I'm like, I'm not dying. As in, I thought I would go in, because I actually dived. So I thought I would go down, and die maybe into a shark's mouth, or I hit myself in a rock, but I had all those imaginations, but it didn't happen.
You actually floated?
I'm floating on water. And I'm wondering why. And now I started fighting with, now people from the ferry started, I'd lived in Mombasa for 6 years. And I was seeing people do that, and no one was found.
People would die.
Even now, people go there and people are not found. Remember the other time the lady went in with the car, and it took 13 days before she was removed. So for me, that was it. But I was floating, and people were shouting, "Machini ya Mombasa ndio hayo." Yeah, because you know in Mombasa it's genie. People believe a lot in those. Although I never saw any genie there, but they were saying, "How come ameruka huyu lakini azami? This must be a ghost. How come she's just floating?" Personally, I was wondering, how come I'm not dying in the way that I was determined? So I started fighting with the water to swallow me. So what I was doing, I'm lying there floating, but I'm trying to push water into my mouth to swallow so that I'm heavy, then I'll go down.
Nothing.
I did that for a long time. People who saw me said I took 10 minutes doing that. But at some point, Sharon, I don't know if I died. I don't know how death is. Maybe the people who die never come back. I think because it's very nice.
Death.
I think so. Because when I was fighting with that water, I really fought with that water to swallow me. I suddenly got some peace. Like, you know, the way you can hold a baby on your laps and they just sleep and they're feeling nice. The way we sleep at night and just feel nice and start dreaming and we don't care about anything. I went into that state, and it was very peaceful, and I felt very nice. And suddenly there was a voice, and it was telling me, now that after that I came to realize it is in Jeremiah 29:11, and the voice was telling me, you are mine, I love you so much, I'm the one who brought you, I will take you, but I want you to go and save my people.
Wow. Like
those words that continued coming to me. So now, finally, the voice was saying, go and save my people. So the go became so heavy. Go and save my people. And I came back to my senses. So that's why I'm saying, I don't know whether I crossed to the other side because I was so peaceful. I think the Lord just held me and spoke to me and told me, go and save. So when he said, go and save my people, I came back, and now I'm in water again. But now, I'm not fearing that. I'm not fearing like I'm in the water and now I'm here. And I'm still floating, by the way.
But were people trying to rescue you? What was going on?
So now when I looked around, there were some divers who had come. There was actually a ship that was coming. So when a ship is coming, there's usually a small boat that escorts it. And I hear that is the time sharks also come and what. So these people dived into the water, but they were also not sure that, is this a human being? But before they reached me, they were throwing the floaters to me, and I was throwing it back, because now I'd come back and I'm like, why am I not dying? But now after that piece, things were different now. So the go thing was like, go. So I almost started running. But I'm like, I've been called a ghost. Now if I run on this water to go the way I'm hearing this voice, they will confirm that it is a ghost. So I realized this is my Creator's voice. And I said, God, I hear you. You are my Creator and I hear you very clearly. I will go and save your people. I will go. Lord, I promise I will go. Now I'm talking to God. I promise I will go.
You're actually verbalizing
it. Yes, I will go. But let this be humanly speaking. Like, let them see the human thing. Please allow that to happen. And he actually did. And now he let me. That power left me. And now I'm in the water. Now I'm seeing water. I'm fearing, like I'm freaking off. Oh my God, that phobia that I have
came back.
But suddenly this guy that diver was already there, and he held me and he overpowered me. So he swam with me and took me. The ferry stopped and came back, and I was put back in the ferry. But now I wanted things to be natural. Like now I'm from the water. But I'm very sober, by the way. I can hear everything. My sandals, remember I had sandals, they didn't come out. And I only had water here because I was lying on the water like this. The rest of my body was dry. It was only the front part because I was fighting with the water like this. And I don't know how to swim, so I was like just a duck doing this. So it was only water. So, okay, to cut the long story short, when I was taken to the hospital, there's a lady who was standing next to me, and she said, I really want to go to the hospital and confirm this is not a ghost, because no one has ever seen anything like this. So she follows me. I hear him saying that, see Jeannie, I was standing next to her before she jumped into the ocean. She was a human being, and she's a human. So some people would come and step on me like, is this a human being? Is it? And I'm just hearing everything that they're saying. And some people were staying away because they're not sure, because they've never seen any. I mean, nothing like that has ever happened. By
this time, are you still weak and sickly, or how are you feeling physically?
I'm fine, because now, as in, I think I had the Lord's touch. From that time, now I was, but the Lord allowed me to come back to my normal things. But I was having some extra energy, so I was just fine. So I'm taken to the hospital. The nearest was Aga Khan. So they said, now who is this? How will we identify her? She doesn't even have any documentation. Now they called the police because, you know, suicide is attempted murder. You're not supposed to take away your life. So then they're struggling, and then a nurse comes and puts a tube through my nose, and I just pulled it and I stood. Because I didn't want that experience. I was very sure I didn't take any water, so why are they putting these things? So I pulled it and everyone stayed away. Like, they all
were like, who is this?
Stepped back like, oh my God, because you're not supposed to be like someone who's just come from water, drowning, and now. But I just stood and said, I didn't drown. And they're looking at me like everybody stepped aside, like, what? They haven't seen anything like this. So I sat and told them, please listen to me. My name is Sally Agallo. I was found in the Indian Ocean because I was committing suicide because I have HIV and my husband is mistreating me. And I talked and I talked and I talked. And I told them, and now when I was talking, that voice came again. Go and save my people. Now very strongly, go. So I'm telling them, you're wasting my time. See, I've told you my story. Let me go. God wants me to go and speak to his people because a lot of people are suffering more than I am. And they're like, oh God, we have to get a psychiatrist. So they
actually got a psychiatrist.
But before the psychiatrist, they told me, okay, so who are your people that we can call? So I said, okay, this is my husband's number. It was a landline in the office. It was in the evening now. So luckily they found him before he had left. So he comes, and apparently he was already high. He was drunk. So, and they were wondering. So they asked him, do you know this woman? He said, yes, it's my wife. And why do you think she's here? Was she trying to commit suicide? That's what he said. And the police looked at him like, oh, you actually knew that you wanted to commit suicide and you didn't do anything about it? Do you know that is illegal? You're supposed to report. But she's an adult and she made a decision. So who am I to say no? Let her sort herself out. And for that reason, for that statement, I wasn't arrested. I was taken to the police station to write a statement. But when the OCS heard that and said, if I was the one living with this kind of a person, I would do what this woman was doing. So let her go and save God's people, as she's saying.
Wow.
But still, they were not sure.
Yeah.
So they called a psychiatrist, and I was given those dawas for mad people. And I was put to sleep on injection, you know. So I was injected, and I was just high, and for 2 days I was just... But before they injected me to sleep, they asked me, now you can't go back to your husband. Can you give us someone else? So I gave them my sister's number, and they called, and they looked for her, and they found her. She came very fast. So when I woke up, my sister was there. And now I was told, now you can't go with your husband, you have to go with this sister, because with that hostile environment, we can't take you back. Because if you are suicidal, you can easily do it again. Yeah. And that's what we don't want that. Wow. So we will release you, but not to this man, to someone else.
Okay. On that point, we take another quick break and then be right back. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on Testify at Hope TV, where you look and live. If you just joined us, you have missed quite a bit of the story, but there's some more still coming up. So karibu sana. Welcome back, Sally.
Thank you.
So, you have been released from the hospital to go and stay with your sister.
Yes. So, my sister is in Nairobi, so we come back to Nairobi with her. And that time, there was no treatment for HIV. So, she could bring me to Mbagathi Hospital, back. But every time I was in the hospital, I could talk to patients there and tell them, by the way, I tried to commit suicide, I did die. So, I was just saying that. And at some point, I was very sick that I could be taken in for like admission, so that I get at least drip. And people would die, Sharon, people would die. Like, you know, in a government hospital. Yes, of AIDS, because
of AIDS, yeah.
There was no treatment. So sometime I would share a bed with someone, they die. And it kept on. And I was not dying. And the doctors also wondering, how come? And every day I could wake up and tell God, you told me that I will go and save your people. How can I do it, Lord, when I'm weak like this? So during that time, there's some missionaries also who were going around. So they met me and we prayed with them. Now a real salvation prayer. Now I understood what it meant to be born again, especially after my ordeal in the ocean. So when I was doing that prayer, I believed that I am a sinner, and that if I confess my sins, I'll be forgiven. And now I meant every word when I was doing that prayer. And when I said amen, I felt that peace. So I started just miraculously getting well. I was just getting okay. And there was no treatment. And even the doctors were wondering, how come this person is just improving with nothing? So and then in the year 2003, all this struggle, all this time, sometimes my sister would, she's also a widow, and she didn't have a very good job, but she would struggle to buy for me the medication on and off. And at this point, I really wish to thank one of my friends. She was called Sophie. Unfortunately, she also passed on from cancer. She really supported me. I remember one time, her kids didn't go to school for a whole term, 2 of them, because she bought my medication with their school fees.
Oh, wow.
That was a true friend. And she told me, Sally, I'll do anything for you to see you live. If this is the medication that will make you live, I can do homeschooling for my kids.
Wow.
And she did that. And for a whole 3 months, the children were just homeschooling, and I went to, I got my medication, and I'm forever grateful to Sophie.
Wow.
And so, like that, on and off, I could take the medication. They were very expensive that time. A dose for a week would be about 50,000, and 50,000 in those years was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So on and off, I would take or not take, like that. But miraculously, I was just gaining strength. So in the year 2003, I'm among the people who advocated for antiretroviral therapy to be available for HIV patients in this country. And I remember when Bill Clinton came to Kenya, that was in, I think, 2007, I was picked to be the representative of people living with HIV to speak during that forum, and I'm forever grateful. And at that time, now we started getting ARVs for children, and now ARVs, at least they were affordable. They were about 3,000 a month or something like that. But we kept on pushing. We could go and scream in the streets, you know, the Hakietu style, and we made noise, and ARVs are now available for everyone.
Yeah, at no cost, right?
So at no cost. So at that moment, there was an NGO that was working at the hospital, running the HIV clinic, and they took me in as an example that someone can live even with this condition, and this one has survived miraculously, and we don't know. So by the time I was being put on the ARVs, I already had some energy, like I wasn't sick anymore. But the virus, of course, once you get the virus, it's there. So by the time I was being started on the ARVs, I was at least, I can say healed, not cured, but healed, because I had the energy. So, but I could just talk to the patients and tell them, this is what I am, and this is what happened. And then this NGO decided that they employ me. So they took me for a training for HIV/AIDS counseling, and also just basic training on what HIV is, what does it do to the body, and what happens to a person, so that when I'm giving the health talks, I'm also doing it professionally, from my own sharing my own experience, but also telling people what HIV is and what it does, and the treatment and everything. And I'm glad that some people are sacked because they have HIV. I was employed because I had HIV. Wow. So for me, that was a testimony.
Sure.
So I work with this organization. So 2007, I am screened for cervical cancer.
Why was it necessary? Or was it just a routine?
It was necessary because, one, it was a routine for the organization, but also because of my immune system, having HIV, one of the opportunistic infections is cervical cancer. Okay. So people with HIV are followed closely on that. And it is actually sexually transmitted. A big percentage is sexually transmitted. So when I went for the test, I wasn't having any symptoms at all. And that's why I even advocate that women should do the pap smear test, because I was told I had cervical cancer stage 2 and I didn't have any symptom.
What?
And the same way I was told I have ukimwi,
and you had no symptom.
I was told the same way you have cancer, without counseling. And I'm being told, you know what, you know how it happened? The same way I've come for my results. See, we were screened, so I'm called that, Sally, you need to come back to the hospital. And I go back and I'm told, actually what the doctor did, it was very dramatic. Like, he was calling theater and booking for surgery. And I'm hearing this conversation, and I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? So now when the other person on the other side...
No, they're talking about you.
Yeah. So the person on the other side, I believe was theater, was now getting the details now. Then I had my name, and I'm like, I actually held that hand, the receiver, and said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, you have HIV. We have to do surgery very fast, otherwise it will spread and kill you. Choose or leave. It was that harsh.
What?
Remember, I've lost 2 babies.
Yeah.
And this person is telling me, you have to remove your uterus very fast, because...
They're booking a surgery to remove your uterus?
And that's how it was disclosed to me. So at this time, we had already come back now with my husband again, because he also got very sick after I left him in Mombasa. There, he got sick, and the relatives were looking for me, please come and save this person. As soon as I got my job at the NGO, I started going public about my HIV status, because the Lord told me, go and save my people. So suddenly I was in the media, I was talking about it, and the relatives apparently saw me. They even wanted to sue me, that why are you talking badly about our brother? And I'm like, I'm sharing my story. But they said, okay, let's talk, let's agree and help this man. We hear you are working with an NGO and you are now in the HIV field. Help this person so that he doesn't die. You are saved.
He had the...
Yes. He actually infected me because of the way things were happening. I saw this guy had an agenda, because he was insisting I have to marry you and not just a girlfriend. So all this put together, I said... So again, it was very hard for me to accept him back. But one day when I was sleeping, the Lord spoke to me and told me, remember I told you to go and save my people? This is one of them.
He's one of the people.
That was heavy for me, Sharon.
Ooh.
They said, Lord, are you sure? I said, yes. So I told my family that it is a tough decision that I have to make, but I have to go back to this person, just to support him, to get his medication. Because when I was employed, I can't say this is my husband and I'm not living with him. For him to be put in the medical cover to enjoy the medical benefits, I have to be with him.
What a sacrifice.
So I did. I sacrificed that. So by the time I was getting cervical cancer, I went back to the office after all that ordeal of that frustration of how the disclosure was done. Thank God I was working for a medical organization. So my colleagues really talked to me. I was cancelled and I was told, it's fine. Okay, what the doctor told you is true. Your uterus needs to be removed because the cancer will spread because of your HIV status. But the way they did it is not right. So I really am so grateful because they engaged a counselor, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist. All these three, I would see them like in a span of 1 week each, so that my mental status would be settled. So for 2 months, I was fine, and my husband together and I, we went to sign the consent so that my uterus would be removed. It was heavy, it wasn't easy for me to do that, but I had to do it. So I go to theater, and after the theater, one of the ladies who we are married with in the same home comes and tells me, Sally, I know you are sick and you're in pain, but I need to tell you something. You know, there are people when they hear something, they want to talk about it so that it gets out. So she tells me, oh, your husband has told us that we have to get a girl for her because you can't give her babies now. You can't give him babies now.
No.
So when I was in theater, he called a family meeting to make a decision that he needs to marry someone else. So this lady had come before, and my husband came later and asked him, sweetheart, I'm told this is what is happening. And he said, yeah, this is what is happening. I'm still young, I need babies. And so at this point, we had to separate again, because he wanted babies. So he stopped taking his antiretrovirals, and he just went wild looking for a baby. Unfortunately, in 2012, he died.
Wow.
He didn't get the baby, he didn't get a woman to marry, and he died. And I went and spoke in the funeral, the burial, and I told them, I'm a Luo, by the way, so, and in our place, people don't just die, they're either killed or something happens and they die. So I told them, this one was sick, and I'm standing here to testify that we lived with HIV, both of us, and he died of AIDS because he refused taking medication. And people were so scared because in funerals people talk nice things, you don't say bad things. But I was here to, I'm telling them this is the truth and this is, God has sent me to do this. So long story short, he's buried and that's it. So that's 2012. Yeah.
And the story is not over yet. We have a few more things that you need to tell us.
Yeah, the story is not over yet.
It's not over yet. And I'm just thinking we need another session to continue with this story.
That's fine.
So if you allow us for today, we'll just leave it at that. Have our viewer meditate on that bit of the story as we look forward to hearing the rest part of the story. I mean, this is... I don't want to add anything, but I'm amazed at what God can do. To see Sally here today, after going through all that she went through, and still confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. You have to believe. I pray that your faith in Christ Jesus will grow some more. I would that you join us next time and same place, next week rather, same time and same place, so that we can continue and hear the remaining bit of the story. I've been your host, Sharon Aitora Wangenye. May your faith in Christ Jesus keep growing.